How can we make this even smaller? Well, the first thing I might think at is like, what things do I only need for just the build? And I kind of hinted there. And I don't need when I go to production. NPM, right? I actually don't need the package manager when I'm in production. I just need it when I'm building it, right? Again, this is NPM is so small, it's tens of megabytes, if that. Don't really need to do this. I just wanted to demonstrate a point to you. Sometimes if you're building things like Rust or LLVM or things like that, these things are quite large tool chains, and you don't want to send those out to production because there are security vulnerabilities again. So I'm going to show you the concept of how to do this, but please don't do this for NPM. It's just not, in general, not a good idea. Well, I guess there are scenarios, and we'll actually get into that later, of when eliminating NPM could be a good idea, but for a node application like this, it's not a big deal. So let's go even further. All right, so Docker allows you to do what's called multi-stage builds, which is like, let's build something first, copy the output into a new container, and go from there. So I can actually basically build multiple containers multiple times. So let's go ahead and do that. So from the first one, because this first container is going to be just for building stuff, I'm just going to say, cool, give me node 12-stretch, right? And we'll move this all stuff down here. Because it doesn't matter here, so you might as well give me the kitchen sink, right? Because I'm going to build a bunch of stuff, then I'm going to throw this container away. So I'm going to make a directory called workdir, called /build. Everything can be done as root, because it doesn't matter, because the end user will not be root. So I'm going to say workdir build. Okay, and then I'm going to say copy. Actually, this stuff right here, you can totally do this down here. Get rid of the chown because it can be owned by root. That's not a big deal. Okay, run npm CI, and then we're going to say copy ... right? And so this, everything above here, or below here, this is the build stage.
And copy ... is basically copy whatever's in this directory into the same containers directory.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, it just copies everything. Okay, and then down here, we're going to have a runtime stage. So what you're going to do is you're going to say from again, but we're going to start with a different container. So from Alpine 3.10. 3.10. Okay. Here we're going to run apk add Node.js, but we're not going to do it with npm because we don't need that in the build stage. We're going to do our run add group. We're going to do our user node. We're going to do makedir. We're going to do workdir. And then here, we don't need to do this again because this already happened above. In fact, we don't need either one of these copies. But what we're going to do now is we're going to say copy, and we're going to say -- from. That's what this from is right here, right? And we're going to say from stage 0. Now, you can also give these names. I don't remember the syntax off the top of my head, but you could call this as like as build or something like that.
Yep, as build.
Oh, good. I was able to remember that off the top of my head. That was a real risk. So in that case, you would say copy from build, right? Well, let's see if it works. Numbers also work, right? Because it numbers them. But that can be a bit brittle if you have multiple stages. Because you can have like 5 stages, right? So from build, we're going to say -- chown equals node, and then we're going to say from /build, everything that you put in /build, put it in here, which is going to be this working directory. And then down here, the CMD stays the same. Everything's all good. By the way, these like instructions, you know how I'm always putting them in uppercase? They actually don't have to be in uppercase, just so you know. But literally everyone makes them all uppercase so that this file is a lot easier to read. So you don't have to, but always do it. I actually think that VS Code will change this for me. Oh, no, it won't, but it's going to say, hey, this is real dumb, don't do that. instructions should be written in uppercase letters, you idiot. Okay. It would still work though. All right, so let's see if this works. It's anyone's guess. What's actually even cooler, which I'm not going to show you, you can actually build a bunch of containers in a row. So you can say, like, here's my dev container, here's my build container, and you can build them all in one Docker file, and it'll export all of them for you, which is kind of cool too. So now I have this MyNode app latest. Let's go ahead and give it a run to see that I'm not full of crap. Might be, no one ever knows. Still working, right? Still seeing our success. Let's go ahead and stop this. And we'll say docker inspect MyNode app. The JQ. And let's take a look. We are down to 39 megabytes. So we got even smaller. So we saved ourselves 20 megabytes with NPM being gone, something like that. I mean, in theory, I guess you could even drop package.json and package.lock.json and save some extra kilobytes. Good for you. Don't do that. But you kind of get the point, right? You kind of get through that, like, okay, what don't I need in production, right? That's the idea that I wanted to get through you. Sometimes you'll have multiple Docker files in one directory. In general, that's not true, but it can happen, right? So let's say I had another one here that was maybe like my dev environment. I would call it like dev.dockerfile. There's also a lot of debate. Should it be dockerfile.dev or should it be dev.dockerfile? I'm going to show you this way because that way syntax highlighting works, and everything in my life is based around syntax highlighting. I can't develop without it, so we're just sticking with that. So let's just say this is, I don't know, something really dumb from node latest, right, or something like that. So the question then becomes, like, how do I run build this without, because this just immediately finds whatever the name of the Docker file is. So you can also put in -f, and then here you would put in dev.dockerfile, and that's how you point it at a different Docker file. Or it can be like outside of the directory or something like that.